Hi, everyone. It's short notice, and it was quite a hike, so thank you all for joining us today. We are going to be doing the SERPs Up Live podcast. I have some fantastic, wonderful, incredible guests who are joining us. We're going to be here for the whole time, so please, I hope you enjoy this. I am going to be calling to the stage today a wonderful collection of fantastic human beings. First up is Mr. Joshua George, who is the founder of Clicks Slice, which is a fantastic SEO agency based in London. He has over a decade of experience doing SEO as a consultant, and he ranks #1 for SEO in London, which is fantastic. And he also drove here in his McLaren, so like if you're parking near a McLaren, don't mess up his paint job. Okay, Joshua George coming up to the stage. Thank you. Thank you. And next up, we have Lydia Infante, who is the SEO extraordinaire over at Sanity, which is a headless CMS, and they are doing incredible things. And she is also a contributor for the Wix SEO Learning Hub, and is also an international SEO extraordinaire and a speaker and fantastic. And she is a fellow Cardi B fan. Thank you, Lydia Infante, coming to the stage. Next up is from my team at Wix. This is Rebecca Tomasis. She's an SEO expert who is currently managing the Wix blog. If you have seen, if you've entered into Google something that says like, oh, blog, what is blogging? You will find Rebecca's handiwork there because the feature snippets that she collects are incredible. They're like, some people do Pokemon, she collects featured snippets. She's incredible. She's fantastic. She's wonderful. She's a Rebecca Tomasis. Woo! And I should introduce myself. Obviously, I'm Crystal Carter. A lot of y'all know me. Hi, everybody. Hello, friends. And I am the co-host of the SERPs Up SEO podcast, which I co-host with Morty Oberstein, who is not here today. However, throughout this podcast, if you have anything to say about the podcast, please do @ him on Twitter. His Twitter handle is @MortyOberstein. If you're in the back, you can see his thing. So it's @MortyOberstein on Twitter. So if you have anything to say about that, please do @Morty. We publish our podcast every Wednesday. So we published one yesterday, and we will be publishing one next week, and this will be out later on. So thank you all for joining us. Okay, so we're going to get into a few of the features that we normally do on the SERPs Up SEO podcast. We do fun, different things. And the first thing we're going to talk about, and these guys have not seen these slides, so we're all just sort of winging it. But yeah, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about generative AI. Kel Caprice. How many people have heard about AI today at the thing? For those of you listening on the podcast, everyone's already heard about it. It's only 11 o'clock in the morning, but we've all already heard about generative AI. And the reason why is because we all know that Bing put out all of the stuff this year, and everybody went mad after ChatGPT blowing up last autumn. Bing introduced new Bing, and really sort of, as they said, the CEO from Bing's search team said, we made Google dance. And after firing their shots, Google finally released their search generative experience, and they finally started putting in links, which people are really excited about, and that's all well and fantastic. But one of the sections that we do in our podcast is we ask, is this new? Is this actually new? How are we thinking that people are using this in new ways? So my first question is AI in search actually new? How new are you finding the search generative experience? And how new are you finding people experiencing generative search in this space?
It is, am I mic'd?
Yeah.
Sorry. Technically, it is newish, but not really. Essentially, machine learning has been used to train the Google algorithm since the dawn of time. And what I think has really triggered this big AI movement is actually making it available. Because we used to have AI-driven SEO tools for years. There was Phrase and Jasper, which used to be Jarvis, but probably Marvel sued them or something.
They did.
So yeah, it's not really new, but it is available to everybody. So you don't have to be bought in and make an investment before starting to test it out. Also, the generative large language models are very much improved. That's the stuff that's new. Also, our panic about SEO dying.
It's also new. And how are you using AI in your new workflows, Joshua, if you're able to share?
Yeah, so for us, we still have human content. I'm a massive fan of that. Sell it a lot on our discovery calls as well, and clients value that. So I don't think we'll ever get rid of completely using human writers. We do use it for our blog briefs. It just speeds up a lot more time. And that's currently how we're using it at the moment. We haven't rolled it out properly in the whole agency yet. I'm still on the fence with it because clients pay us a good amount of money to get them results, and I'm going to be testing stuff on the site. But I've got an AI site that I'm playing around with, testing strategies and seeing what's working, and that way I have my own data to make my own decisions on instead of seeing what someone says on Twitter and just basing the whole thing on that, basically.
And people are saying a lot on Twitter. There's a lot on Twitter, a lot of things floating around, and a lot of like, this is a brand new thing, and change everything that you're doing again.
But I find like it's not like it takes so much testing to understand, is this going to make my work so efficient that sometimes you're like, well, I'm spending so much time testing this. Maybe in this time I could have, like, you have to be able to see that, I think, like the long-term benefit of the efficiency or scale it will be able to bring you, because like it is new, and I think, like you said, the accessibility is new, so it's like I need to really take the time to test this and understand the impact.
I think that the scalability point and the like rolling out, how you're rolling out is really important, because I think that and the accessibility point is really important because Jasper's been around for ages. I know that Mike King, his team has been using AI for years and things like that. But when it's going mainstream, that means there's more competitors that are using it, which means if you want to be competitive, you kind of have to think about how that works. And that's definitely changing the landscape of how people are interacting on search and how people are creating content and things like that. I certainly see that. And where do you all feel like, having seen the last 6 months of sort of ChatGPT really going big and new Bing going big and generative search coming to Google and Bard and all of that, where do you think in 6 months' time, like from the next Brighton SEO, where do you think we'll be then?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm Mike. Okay. I think we're going to be a lot less scared and a lot more empowered to actually use AI, not as a replacement of us and our work, but as an enhancer of us and our work. I use AI all the time in my workflows now.
Right.
And I absolutely love it. It's accelerated my output and productivity massively. It's much easier for me to edit stuff to fit tone guidelines and to make it just detect where did I spell the thing that I'm not supposed to spell that way, in the way that's like for the company. It helps me, you also mentioned, Rebecca, that it takes some investment in time to get it done. So what I try to do is I try to create templatable prompts that I can just reuse endlessly. You were mentioning that you use them for content briefs. I use it somewhat for content briefs as well, but I use it more as an assistant of like, hello, go into the world of the web and tell me what are questions being asked about this. Or I go, imagine that you are a product owner trying to find a new CMS. What are the questions that you're going to have to answer to your stakeholders? Now you can feed it sources of truth, so it stops making stuff up. I'm also very proud that I said making stuff up instead of making shit up. I'm doing a really good job on not swearing today. All right. So you feed it sources of truth and you give it your own information of what you want it to base on. If you do really good prompting, you can recycle it forever.
Right.
And I also really like using it for repurposing and content distribution. So I feed it some of my tweets, like, this is my tone of voice, this is how I speak in my tone of voice. Make me 5 tweets to promote this article.
Yeah.
And that is a superpower.
Yeah.
You go on on a scheduler, and you have your content strategy distribution.
I think it's like consistency at scale also, and I think for me I think like sometimes I do need a blog post that's like super unique and creative, and sometimes I'm like, please just follow this structure, and like that's something that I can create within that first draft or something with AI, and there is the structure, and then okay, let's now put in like the expertise and some of the creativity, but like the meat or the bones is like, don't change this.
Right. And I think that people who are organized, like you were talking about your content briefs, like if you're organized and you already have your content briefs and you know how to structure a content brief and you know how to which content distribution points you want to hit, then it allows you to like, if you're already organized, it allows you to really, really work with that. I feel like you want to jump in here.
Yeah, no, I was saying the same reason like ChatGPT, right? It all comes down to prompt. You put rubbish in, you're gonna get rubbish out.
Yeah.
So like, once you finalize and really narrow down what prompts actually work, it's pretty much just copy and paste. You just change out the niche. So yeah, we can produce blog briefs super quick now at scale. And I don't know how many briefs I'm doing a month at the moment, like loads. I don't tell you, but hundreds we're doing for our clients at the moment, and it's so much quicker.
Right.
It makes it easier for our content team as well, because when they're writing the content, they already know the anchor text to use, they know what page to link to. And there's loads of like, we're using ChatGPT, the custom parameters, prompt engineering. Like I literally just made a whole course on ChatGPT 2 weeks ago, like 9 hours of video content.
Nice.
I've been playing around with it so much, and yeah, it's game changing. So I'm personally excited for the future. Like I can't wait for AI to roll out.
Right.
I know a lot of people are scared of AI, like, oh, it's going to take my job, like, the content writer's going to die. Like, nah, it's rubbish.
Okay.
There's been so many changes in the SEO industry, right? And our job as SEOs is
And I think it also is like, because you know, that whole conversation, like, does AI content rank? And I know from my experience, it still takes so much human optimization and strategy and testing and going back into the article to get it to rank, right? Like that's the process anyway. And in the short term or even the midterm, I don't see any tool that's necessarily able to kind of replicate that. Like even if we can get to the point where it creates a perfect piece of content for intent and all of that, like it still needs tweaking, right? Next week somebody's above you, like what do I need to now do, right?
Right. And I think that with the velocity, like with great velocity comes great power or great responsibility.
And a lot of optimizations. I mean, wow, I have all this content and now it needs to rank. Like.
And I think also like sometimes it's like if you're moving really quickly, it's also really easy to make a mistake, like at a large scale. So if you make one mistake across all of those 50, 60 blogs or something, it's like, okay, I have to go and unpick all those 50, 60 blogs or whatever.
The wrong anchor.
Right. Exactly. On every single one. So yeah, that's something to think about as well. And I think also, you know, I think you talked about all of the optimizations you have to make as somebody who is skilled with your skills. You know, you still have to make sure that works. And if there are a lot of people who are putting out just straight from the machine onto quality is still going to rise to the top, and quality comes from skill, and then that skill is something you cultivate.
I have a thing to say. I think what this has really done is it's changed what is table stakes, right? So being able to produce content at scale used to be a competitive advantage, but it's not anymore.
Okay.
So what is a competitive advantage right now is surfacing the human within your content, the experience of the person that's writing, the specific anecdotes, their wisdom, rather than just a copycat content. Because now everybody can do a copycat content. Grab what's ranking on the SERPs and regurgitate it is something that is table stakes for literally your mom. Like your dad.
And we were doing it without AI, right? We were regurgitating, like, okay, this is what X writes to be number one. I need to write exactly the same thing.
But we had the resources to do it, right? And we needed the resources to do it. Now it's no longer needed. Right? Now it's table stakes. So now to rise above the noise of what I imagine is going to be an increase of trash content flooding the web made by ChatGPT is going to be differentiation. And for me, differentiation is going to be human experience and authority and personality.
So what I'm seeing now, though, is with competitors is taking an article, and I actually talked to our editor also because I wanted her opinion on the content. Because at first glance, right, it's the expert tips are there, the sources are there, there's nice data, it's really well optimized and nicely structured. And then you go into the content and it's well, this was AI. I sent it to our editor and she was like, this content is a train wreck.
Right.
So I think this is also interesting to see people generating with, it's very obvious when you generate with AI and then you're trying to force the expert quotes and everything in.
I think it's in Clueless, they say, oh, she's a full-on Monet. It's good from far apart or from far away, but when you get up, it's a hot mess.
That's really good.
So it's something you need to think about, and making sure that you're maintaining that tone and maintaining that quality as you go along, and stuff. We can absolutely talk about AI all day, as I'm sure many people are today, but we are going to get into our next section, which is fun with People Also Ask. People Also Ask is sometimes referred to as a universal SERP feature. It is seen on almost every single search that you do on Google. And there are some fun questions that show up on People Also Ask, and we're going to go through a couple of them. So the first question that People Also Ask is, where can we find mermaids? That's a question that people also ask.
Wait, there are actual answers?
No, don't look at the answers. Y'all aren't supposed to look at the answers. They're looking at the answers. Okay, so do you have any ideas of where we could find mermaids? Rebecca, you can't say because you look.
I already know.
I can find mermaids in the documentary that you shared with me on Netflix.
That's true. There is a mermazing.
Like a sport, like people wear the tails,
A
right?
fantastic documentary. Mer People, I think
Mer
it is.
People, it's fantastic. It's wonderful.
So good. She recommended it to me. I wasn't going to watch it, but now I'm very happy.
It's amazing. If you have nothing to watch on Netflix, watch Mer People. It's fantastic.
Do we have the age group of who asks?
No, they don't get age groups. I literally entered mermaids into Google, and they were like, people also ask, and Google has tons of these. If you enter Google Mom, they're like, who is Google's mom? And it's like, no, that's not the question to ask, y'all. That's not it. But yeah, where do you think you find mermaids?
Well, we have that joke we say in the SEO industry, right? The best place to hide a dead body is on page 2.
All right.
So the mermaids have got to be on page 2.
Okay, so Atlas Obscura is actually answering this question legitimately. They're saying that you can find mermaids in Japan. They're also saying that you can find mermaids in Florida and that you can find mermaids in Vermont. So I think that's fascinating that there's places.
Is there sea in Vermont?
There is not. I think Vermont is landlocked, but apparently there's mermaids there. So that's interesting. Our next question from People Also Ask is vibranium the strongest metal on Earth? And this is a serious question that people are asking. And the thing I find, you're like...
Vibranium, is it from a movie?
Yeah.
Marvel?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is it like Thor's hammer?
Yeah, no, no, that's not vibranium.
What they have on Wakanda.
Captain America's shield is vibranium.
I'm sorry, I'm tuned. I don't watch any Marvel.
You don't watch any Marvel? Okay, so Google here is being very interesting because Google is not just telling them, no, that's a dumb question. Google is saying, identified in 1781, tungsten is the strongest pure metal on Earth. And this is from...
In the real world.
In the real world.
So it's basically saying you are an idiot. This is
kind of.
Wouldn't it be better if Google just said, hey, are you okay? That's what I was
Here's a website that might suit you better.
So this is from a blog called What Are Earth's Mightiest Fictional Metals. So again, they're trying to help people to slowly guide them towards
But they're
reality.
very expensive. How can they be expensive if they are fictional?
I don't. Yeah, it's in the movie. Okay, so anyway. So our next one, our next People Also Ask is, what are the 5 types of unicorns? This is a very important question that people are asking.
Very important question.
It's why is this important?
So my first website, I made it when I was 6 years old. On front page. Obviously, as a 6-year-old, I was very interested in unicorns.
Of course.
Right? So it was basically a bundle of images of unicorns that I had been downloading from Google search, which was my hobby when I was 6. Go on Google search and look at unicorns.
Of course.
It's obviously a lot of people's hobbies.
So since then, every time I learn a new technology to make content, I try it out with a unicorn website.
That's so cute.
So I'm 6
what are the 5
websites
types of
in.
Yeah, you should know this inside out then.
So if they're saying 5, because there's many different classifications of unicorns, okay?
Okay, let's get technical.
If they're saying there's 5, it's because they're using the elements type of classification.
course.
This is going to be water, sand, ice, fire, electric unicorns.
Okay.
But you can classify them by color or by whether or not they will give you magic.
Okay, all right. Okay, so that's a thorough, you should really be ranking for this, to be honest.
Probably is. We don't even know.
Probably low-key unicorn queen. Okay, so this is from mombooks.com, and they're saying that the 7 types of unicorn, 7 types in the world today. That is what they're saying. In the world today, there are mountain jewels, water moons, woodland flowers, desert flames, ice wanderers, storm classics, shadow knights. I know you all didn't think you were coming to talk about unicorns, but we're here. We're enjoying it, et cetera, et cetera. But these are the kinds of things that people are seeing on People Also Ask. The thing I find fascinating about this is that Google is not only placating these kinds of questions, and they say it's a mythical creature, y'all. This is a mythical creature. The unicorns are mythical. But they also give you more questions. So they're also saying, why is it called a unicorn? And they're saying, where can I find a unicorn? Location, where can I find a unicorn? So
Again in Vermont.
Again in Vermont. Apparently Vermont is like
Oh my
super,
God.
it's
Yeah.
the super magical place where we should all be looking for unicorns and mermaids. So my question here is this, with regards to people also ask, are y'all making content for some of these questions that are terrible questions? Are y'all like engaging with these?
Hell yeah.
You are?
Absolutely, to build relevancy. So like when you carry out a search for anything, right, those people also ask questions. It's questions that relate to the topic of what you just searched for. So
Right.
Google already deems those topics relevant to that
Right.
search term. So if you build out content around that, linking back to the page you're trying to rank, you increase your page's relevancy.
Even if it's a dumb question?
Yeah.
I don't know about the
No, I wouldn't say unicorns, other stuff.
Okay,
No.
okay.
There are a lot of repetitive things also, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah, it's
why
some
should
way.
I start a business? Should I, like, that's a very bad example, but like, it's like, I'm not going to necessarily directly answer every question.
Right.
But I think in terms of like intent and what people are looking for, and I think they're super insightful.
Yeah.
And they got a lot longer. Like
Yeah.
some queries now, it's like,
When you
Yeah.
click, you get more as well.
what,
They
right? And then you're
expand,
like down a
keep
wormhole
growing.
of like,
Yeah. And I think it's
I only use PAAs to look at what the content journey is going to be, like what is
Right.
my audience interested in. But like where I'm currently at, I'm trying to sell very expensive software to enterprises. So if the question is dumb, it's
Yeah.
probably not for my audience.
But I guess it's a question of like sometimes there'll be people, maybe it's a question of competition. Maybe most people are going to be like, that's a silly question, I'm not going to answer that. And so maybe if you get in there and address it, maybe not directly, maybe not put it as the header, but kind of like low-key address it, maybe you're more likely to show instead of mombooks.com on something about unicorns. Then the other thing I find also really interesting is that on the right here I have like name, origin, why is it called a unicorn, location, where can I find a unicorn? And then there were other questions as well that come up there. So we're starting seeing more of these query-based questions that are popping up on the SERP. I recently was on Google and got to the bottom of the page and I saw like instead of related searches, it had the query and then it had like a sort of like a knowledge panel looking thing about you've seen this as
Yeah.
well, about the question and then another question and then another question. Do you think we're going to see more of this going forward? Yeah.
no, because I think it also directly links, which we started to see a lot of last week, is like, especially on some of our big strategic keywords, was Reddit threads ranking.
Right.
Like ranking high, ranking 5, 4, like out of nowhere. And I think it's all related, right? Because a lot of these questions are the very insightful questions people ask on Reddit. So I think there is obviously a huge connection between, again, like what people are really looking for and what they're really looking for is like the experience, right? Like somebody who's actually, I don't know, seen a unicorn or
The
like
human instead of the SEO.
yeah,
right?
like they're really trying to tap into that, and I guess that complaint that like if this is a machine delivering me an answer and like it's not useful and like, yeah.
That's really interesting. I think also, do you think that with SGE, for instance, and with like ChatGPT and Bard and New Bing and all of that sort of stuff, when you go to New Bing, for instance, they're like, write as many characters as you want, like enter whatever question you want. And I find that when I'm doing a query in one of those tools, that I will structure my query differently from how I would enter it into Google. In Google, I'm going for like lowest common denominator terms, and I'll just be like unicorn with pink wings or something, right? And I would just enter that so that I would get that sort of thing. Whereas like in ChatGPT, I might even just speak it into it and I say, where can I find a unicorn backpack that has pink wings and orange stripes and et cetera, et cetera. And so it'll be much, much longer. I mean, do you think that these queries are kind of responding to the more conversational tone that people are having with search engines? Do you think that's even a trend?
Well, didn't we see a bit of a swap to a more conversational tone in search when voice search happened?
Yeah.
And we were all thinking that voice search was going to be, what was it, like 70% of
No,
all searches?
I never thought that.
I never use it.
Yeah.
I've never searched my voice ever.
I only use like my Google Assistant to like put jams on when I'm cooking.
Okay.
Right? I have seen conversational tone come in and out of
Okay.
like search
Right.
in different ways. So when I started in PPC,
Okay.
my very dark past, I was carrying like PPC strategies for several countries. And these countries have adopted digitalization and the internet and become proficient in buying online at different stages, in different ways. And you could kind of see that the less digitalized a country was, the more likely I was getting these conversationally written queries.
Interesting.
Right? Then we swapped onto like a generic, very broad, very top of the funnel query as they matured. And then we swapped to long tail questions from the get-go instead of doing generic, mid-tail, long tail. The fact that it's coming back, and I felt like it came back a little bit when we were all talking about voice search and people were trying it. It changed our relationship with searching a little bit. I wonder if we're having a similar change in our parasocial relationship with search engines.
I think certainly Rand Fishkin recently published an article about how people use ChatGPT, and they were talking about a lot of the words that people are using, and people are saying please.
Yeah.
I say please all the time.
Right?
I even say hello.
Right?
I don't know why.
I used ChatGPT
I waste of characters as well.
I use ChatGPT to save me from Google Sheets. I'm like, Google Sheets was mean to me. Like, they told me my code didn't work, and they're like, here it is. I'm like, thanks, Chat. So yeah, and like Bard also will like get upset if you're like not nice to Bard. Bard will be like, I'm sorry, I'm an AI generated tool, and I will not answer any more questions. And I'm like, Bard, I'm sorry, not Bard, Bing does that or whatever. And they're just like, I'm not. I'm like, you can cope with a question, and they're like, no, I can't. I'm an AI. Like, stop being so fragile.
That's the baby.
So people are saying like, please. People are saying the thing, and also I think that there's a certain amount of with some of the generative conversational search things. People also have. There's less judgment. Like I remember I got some insurance documents, and they sent me the terms of the insurance documents, and I was like, I don't know what this means. And I put that into chat, and it was like, ChatGPT, what does this mean? And they were like, oh, it means this and this and this. And they used this term, and I was like, I don't know what that term means. Like, what does that term mean? And they were like, oh, it's like this. So you can just be honest about like what you don't know, or you can just like be honest about what you actually need in a different way than if you were to, I don't know, ask someone and they were like, well, actually, how come you didn't know that, or that sort of thing. So I wonder if that doesn't change as well, like people's relationships to that, and maybe it'll change people's relationships to brands as well.
Well, that's why I got into marketing at all to begin with, because I was studying psychology because I'm curious about people. But then if you ask people to test and self-report, you're gonna lie.
Right.
They're gonna lie to look good. They're gonna lie to be liked, or they're going to lie to agree. And then like I had like this little side marketing job doing PPC as well as studying psychology, and I could see at the time, you could see all of the queries. So like I could literally see what my parents in their postcode were searching for, that I was like surfacing for, because they were really excited that their daughter had a job. So yeah, the privacy of your own home, of typing out whatever you want without judgment,
Right.
is huge.
Yeah, and I think it could potentially change like how people are relating to brands, because I think a lot of people are adopting chatbots on their brands as well, which could give you lots more details on like the kinds of content that people actually need, but maybe are afraid to ask directly for, and that sort of thing. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how these things play out.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Like, it's like when you go into a website, you have a search bar, right? You can search for whatever you want. Like, it might not even exist, but no one's looking, and you can get away with spelling things wrong, asking stupid questions, and no one can judge you. Again,
Everything you type is on someone's analytics.
I know it now,
I was gonna say, like,
when I was
I know
younger,
exactly.
I did not know that. And
Right.
yeah, I think using AI for the chatbot stuff like that is literally the same trend as a search box.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
When we have to search for something stupid, my husband and I split. Like, now you look stupid to the algorithm. Now you look stupid to the algorithm. Or something embarrassing, or something that we definitely should not be asking any search engine.
Yeah.
Like we take it in turns, because we don't want the algorithm to judge us.
I think also like it's one of those things like site search. Site search is always such a gold mine of things that people are looking for that maybe you don't have, or things that people are not understanding, and you're like, we totally have that on the website, but people can't find it, and that sort of thing. So I think that it'd be interesting to see how those things work as people adopt more like native AI-powered chat conversations and things like that. Okay, so now we're going to talk about another section. It's called Going Google. which is looking at a few Google trends. So this one is one that I've seen recently. I was very pleased with myself because I spotted it on the SERP, and I was like, "Oh, I found this!" And Barry reminded me that it is not new that Brody Clark had actually found it 2 hours earlier or something. So unlucky there. But this is mentioned in. So I was looking up Santa Monica Pier. And I found this entry, and this was not the first entry, it was further down, for Pacific Park, which is the amusement park on Santa Monica Pier. And you'll see it says mentioned in AAZ animals, mentioned in travel awaits, mentioned in other things as well. I don't know if y'all have seen this or how you feel about this.
For me, it's a little bit, because like this, as an SEO, I don't necessarily control.
Right.
Like this now is like taking the SERP beyond what I can influence and optimize. And now I got to, anyway, we're having those conversations, right? But now I really need to talk to digital PR. Now I really need to talk to the affiliates team. Now I really need to I guess it's that whole like that whole world of like ORM and like, it's like my number one thought was, how do I manipulate?
Straight away, yeah.
How do I get in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess it's like, is it quite a question of like who else is ranking for your brand, or who else is ranking for that mention in that brand?
Maybe
or
it seems like an authority thing, like, because if you're looking for Santa Monica Pier, you're maybe looking for things to do. And things to do in Santa Monica Pier might be a common follow-up search
Right.
that people are making. So it changes the perceived intent of the SERP. And typically when you're doing a what to do type of search, you're looking for lists of people, your brands you trust.
Yeah.
Here they're showing you the thing to do, validated by the brands you might trust.
Right. Right.
So this is what I see, like the queries that I'm looking at. So the mentioned in, you see the brands, and then you click and it opens up, and then it's like Wix was mentioned in and generally, obviously, the connection is like these are the brands we understand to be closely related with this kind of topic, right? So in that sense, we can manipulate it.
I think this is good though.
Yeah.
I think SEO is coming for a big change. Like at the
Okay.
moment, I think we're quite lazy for what we do. Like we try to rank
Okay.
our page, a bit of content, bit of backlinks.
We know
but
this works. So
This is more of a holistic approach, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't just do SEO, you can't just do link building. You need to be active on social media, do some PR, and that gets better results for the clients at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So the ones who don't want to adapt are the ones that are going to lose out.
Okay.
100%.
I think it kind of keeps brands it's going to keep brands honest about how they're like approaching their brand like relationships and things like that. I think the other thing the thing that's worrisome. So I see where you're like, oh, this is great. So as a user, I think this is great because as a user, I'm definitely like looking at multiple websites if I'm going to be doing a thing. So if I want to go to Santa Monica Pier, I'm like, oh, great, I can hear more details about this. So I think that's Google answering that user journey. They know that you're going to like search around for stuff. As a brand, I share your like, what about this? Because like, what if somebody says something that you like? What if I don't know? Like that, the people could say something else. So there's some potentially some worrisome things there.
You've got to bury it.
No, we don't want to bury. No, but I think you have to. But I think it does mean that Google SEOs need to think more about how they're balancing their brand relationships overall. So as you're saying, like talking to PR, talking to acquisition, or talking to like affiliates, talking to like different teams to help bring that up.
It's all brand, especially when you're on like the product end of things, right? You and I are in a very similar space, if not competitors. And people are looking for the concept when they're looking for informational. They're looking for best keyword, whatever, when they're looking to buy. But if you're looking for best keyword, whatever, you're not going to rank for it, right? And you really need to be speaking to all of the people who are creating those lists to be included. Otherwise, you're not going to be there. And being included, if you're not actively talking to them, is all about about being top of mind for the journalist that's writing it. So a lot of the SEO work that's coming, it's going to be very brand related. Like watching out for your brand SERPs, watching out for like EAT now.
EAT, yeah. Be another E soon.
Expert led.
EAT.
I think it'll be interesting to see how this relates to Like, where does that rank? Like, are you ranking in that position? If you're AZ Animals, are you ranking number, like, if Pack Park is number 7, are you now number 8? Like, how's it going to affect the click-through rate on that? So I don't know. I'm interested. I'm curious. I'm watching this space. The next one that I want to talk about is Perspectives. Perspectives has a similar sort of thing. Perspectives, I have mixed feelings about this because I generally see this when it's a news item. So it'll be like a news thing that's happening. Coco Gauff recently won the US Open triumphantly. She was amazing. Any other tennis fans? She was fantastic. And when you look at Coco Gauff, again, not at the top, but like after the news, you see Perspectives, and it's like people putting in their 2 cents about like what happened at the U.S. Open, for instance. So we have like thanks to Coco Gauff, like from Roxanne Jones. We have Roger Federer wishing her well, and then we have like a just generally related. I think it's the other person who won the U.S. Open as well. So I think that this is a similar thing. Have y'all seen Perspectives pop up with things, or do you find it helpful as a user? Do you think it will be helpful to users?
I don't find it helpful as a user, but I think it's pointing you at what I've been saying since I sat down here. It's about people.
Yeah.
People. The human perspective is what we are seeking right now. So I feel validated.
Okay.
I don't use it.
I agree, but I think, like I've been thinking about it, like there are levels of human perspective that's like valuable and not. Like this is fairly valuable.
Okay.
But you could, something, I don't know, like to go back to the Reddit thread, like if you Google how to start a blog, and like that Reddit thread on how to start a blog is like not helpful.
Right.
Like so again, it's like quality content, right? Or really answering the question. Does that make sense? Like this is where I struggle with it a little bit, like the quality of the results for it.
Sometimes I've seen it, I never use it. I don't see the value in this at all. Like it pulls in
Maybe the CNN one.
But then you can just go directly onto CNN and read that article.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
I don't get it. Like, it's pulling information from Twitter.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it like a combination of all social media platforms? Is it pulling? I think it's messy. I don't know how users.
I think it's telling us you need to be on everything.
Yeah.
As broad
Then
as
coming back
possible.
to brand, just being
Yeah.
on different platforms and stepping away from SEO and doing other stuff.
Yeah. I think it's definitely pulling in omni-channel elements there. It'll be interesting to see if this one sticks, because Google sometimes drops different SERP features. So it'll be interesting to see if this one sticks. I've seen mixed value from it. A lot of times it seems to repeat some of the news items, and we already have Twitter carousels. We already have news carousels. So it's interesting. And I think also I find that I would expect it to show up for like things where there's kind of a debate. So, for instance, I'm from Devon, and in Devon, or I'm not from Devon, I'm from California, I live in Devon. And in Devon, we have the cream tea, and the correct way to put on
jam
okay. Exactly.
No, it's cream first.
It's cream first.
It's cream
So my parents are from Devon, but I like it the Cornwall way.
Yeah, but
So I'm like,
All right, get out.
exactly. No, it's not. You're not. So it's controversial. This is my whole point. So if you look up how to do a cream tea, like they just put an answer which is incorrect, and really they should be having like
the discussion.
the discussion of like this back and forth about where you do a cream tea. Although we all know it's first, because you obviously put the butter on your toast first before you put the jam on. So why would you put the cream?
But the
on
cream
before
is the best part.
No, but
so
it's
it needs
not.
to be on the top.
No.
Like,
Okay, we'll agree to disagree. Anyway, no, okay.
I wonder if perspective is also coming from a place where Google sees that they're losing some share of search to TikTok and to Instagram.
Yeah.
Personally, now that whenever I need to care for my plants, which are alive by some miracle of, I don't know, I look it up on TikTok because I don't want to read how to repot it. I want to see it, because I will mess it up if it's just written instructions. So for DIY, for recipes, I'd rather search on TikTok. But if I go on Google and I get TikTok results, then I keep searching on Google while consuming on TikTok.
I think they're definitely trying to mix it up. Like I think they're trying a lot of things to see what sticks. And I think like TikTok is a challenger for them at the moment. You know, Bing is obviously a challenger for them and from a sort of development point of view. So I think they're trying to trying out lots of different things to see how that works. And I think perspectives is one.
Do you feel like they're losing their focus on what they're like made to do, like search? Like, comes back to user stuff, right? If you want to learn to make a lasagna dish or whatever, like you want to see someone doing that. If you Google how to make lasagna, you read a blog post, like turn the oven on, like that's not a great user experience.
Well,
like,
the blog post would
But if
be,
the blog post
my
has a
grandmother
video-
used to make lasagna every day.
I'd still rather watch the video on TikTok.
Yes.
Well, like same example, like 5 best restaurants in Brighton. Like you'll get a TikTok, it will show you the restaurant, show you the meal. Like
Yeah.
you literally watch the whole thing in a minute and you know exactly what's going on.
When you go to a
It's way
restaurant,
better.
you look it up on Instagram to
Yeah.
see what you're gonna order. I don't know. Am I the only one who does this?
No,
Yeah, I think-
Yeah.
I think though that like folks succeed when they have a mix of intents and things like that. So like if that like one of the ones, I'm not a Daily Mail reader particularly.
I
Right.
promise.
I'm not. However,
We'll leave right
one
now.
of the things that they do really well when they were the first folks to do this, and then I've seen more people do it since, but they do like a TLDR 3 bullet points.
Yeah.
Of the article. As soon as you get on the article, they're like, you know, lasagna sales are up. Everybody loves the marinara, and Lydia says it's great. Like they'll hit you with the three main points from the article, and then you can get into the deep dive of it. And you know there's going to be a million pictures, and you know there's going to be, and like they rank really, really well for lots of stuff because they're able to hit that. Like I've got 5 minutes. Okay, I need that top information.
Yeah, time to value.
Right, exactly. So like I've got 5 minutes, I can get some value out of this, and I can also bookmark it for when I do have time to like deep dive into it. I know there's going to be pictures if I just want to look at pictures. There's going to be a link to a video if I want to watch a video, like that sort of stuff as well. So I think that when you're able to hit multiple points in an efficient way, I think that's what they're trying to do. I think that's what good blogs, good content folks
Right.
are doing as well. So I don't know.
That's something that I've done with AI, like with the assist of AI to have it read my vlog and be like, okay, give me the 5 key takeaways in bullet point form. You can ask it to go on a specific markup and then plug it directly onto a headless CMS. And then you A/B test it. Is this working better for my user or is it not, right? And if it is, I do it at scale and then review for the pieces that have the most traffic. If it's not good or better, I remove it.
Right. These are things you can test, you can see, you can see how they're working for folks to get
Yeah.
the best value.
I think that the challenge is just putting the user at the center.
So I think a secondary challenge right now, though, is like, even though we know we're in a stage where Google is testing a lot of things, it's also a question of like we all want to be the first to understand it and be able to optimize for it and know what to do. But like, if next week it's disappeared again and it was like, okay, so we were tracking where we are mentioned, we were tracking like what kind of things were coming up here, we were tracking like what social media is coming up on these perspectives, and it's really a question of like, how do we go for this?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like,
And should you?
we can't go for this because
It's
What's
like,
the return as well?
it's like Threads,
yeah.
right? Like
Right.
Instagram released Threads, like literally just copied Twitter. Like, should I invest time in Threads now? Is it going to blow up in 5 years' time?
Right.
You just don't know what's going to be here. And
Right.
what's
Or
gonna
it was
go.
like web stories. Like web
Yeah.
stories was
Yeah.
like, they were like, yeah, web stories. And like to make a web story was like a total pain. And like, it was, and then like, it's just not really a thing. So like, I don't know. You don't always know what's going to hit. But I guess that's the thing that's exciting about being an SEO.
You need to chill and focus on strategy, because if you're chasing
I agree.
everything, you're gonna lose your mind.
I agree.
Okay. The last one I wanted to talk about is this. So on Google, if you click the little 3 dots, you can get more about this search result. I find this fascinating, and I think this sort of sits in the same sort of area as the 2 things we've seen before, which is essentially where so if you click on a web page, it'll like about this source, and it will quote you Wikipedia. So here it says like DeviantArt, and it says DeviantArt is this, and it was created by this, and it has headquarters in Los Angeles, etc. And that's from Wikipedia. And then they'll have a section that's in their own words, and it'll say DeviantArt is this, and blah 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 blah. And sometimes it will have links to other things as well. If they don't, if you don't have a Wikipedia page, then they'll just say like, we couldn't find any third-party sources, but this is what it says on the website, and it will just quote some stuff from the website. Now this is currently in beta, but I think this is an interesting evolution, and I think it's an interesting perspective to sort of get an idea of like what Google thinks of your brand. And Lydia,
So excited! I love this feature so much.
okay. So what do you love about it?
I love that through this feature, I get budget for several projects.
Nice.
By showing this to leadership.
Wow.
This feature is absolutely awesome. It shows you what page Google has chosen within your site as what you say about yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right? So I've been trying to get a knowledge panel for the longest time.
Right.
Now I have one. Whoop, whoop. But someone that had one for a long time was Lazarina Stoy,
Okay.
who's an amazing human SEO.
She's fantastic.
Yes. So what I do is like, I try to reverse engineer
Right.
her stuff. So I go like Google Lazarina Stoy about this source on her personal website, and I noticed that in their own words, was coming from not her homepage, but a page that she made that says, "Who is Lazarina Stoy?"
Right.
And then it made me look at my own thing and look up, like, in their own words, where's Google pulling my "Who am I?"
Right.
It was using the homepage. It was using a specific paragraph that I didn't really want them to use that one.
Right.
So what I did is like I kind of restructured my homepage and I rewrote that specific paragraph, and it worked. And now Google understands me better, and I have a knowledge panel. Woo! And then I did the same thing for my company. Like for Sanity, I went on it. We've called ourselves many things.
Okay.
When you're trying to position your brand, you will go through phases. We've been a structured content platform. We've been a content is data. We've been the unified content platform. We've been a composable content cloud. Finally, we are embracing that we are a headless CMS. But we've been spoken about throughout the web as headless
That's
CMS.
not uncommon for
Yeah.
long-standing brands. Though.
Yeah, and for SaaS, like it's super common.
Right.
So throughout the site, we've called ourselves many things. It's very inconsistent. I go on about the source, and I know that they're using a short introduction to Sanity as the page where they're pulling
Right.
what we're saying about ourselves. So I went in there, and Google was highlighting structured content platform, and I'm like, no, that was like 3 positionings ago.
Right.
So I went in there, changed it to headless CMS, and I've seen us grow in rankings for headless CMS, headless and CMS related queries
Nice.
by positioning myself as clearly a headless CMS. I'm saying it, others are saying it, I am, therefore I am.
Right.
I rank, therefore I am. And then we don't have a Wikipedia page. We have one in Norwegian,
Okay.
which obviously is not getting a lot of traffic.
Okay.
And I'm working on getting us a Wikipedia page in English so that we can get trusted sources on the section in there. But I also dived into the trusted sources in there, in the docs, because they link you to like what are our third-party trusted sources. And it's not just Wikipedia, it's also Crunchbase and some others. But they are not actually using it.
Right.
They're the only thing that's pulling up on the third party is Wikipedia.
Right.
Because I have a Crunchbase profile that's in my same as schema.
Yeah.
So it's not hard to find.
Right.
And Google's not pulling that.
Right.
So yeah, like that. This is my story with this feature. I love it. I love it.
I love it as well because if you look at this, it's telling you why it ranks because
Right.
it's
Yeah.
featured here. And again, it's another example of Google saying backlinks are super important.
Yeah.
Although don't build them because they're not going to help you.
Yeah.
And even like EAT, right? It's predominantly based on link-based signals.
Right.
Right, people think it's just adding an author bio on your page. It's really not. You just say where you've been featured, and again, it's a backlink. So,
Right.
Yeah, I think with all that whole AI content coming out, backlinks are going to get more and more impactful in the algo. They're really like the #1 ranking factor, in my opinion, anyway, besides content and user metrics. So yeah, I love this because you can manipulate backlinks. You can build them at scale. And you mentioned you featured on Crunchbase, whatever these websites like Forbes. You can pay to get featured there, and I think that's going to be the big difference. Who has the higher quality links because they're seen as a more credible brand. They have more authority in the space, and they'll have bigger about the source mentions that no one else can have.
Yeah.
Like Wikipedia, you can pay to create a Wikipedia page as well. So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting times.
Very interesting.
I think it relates also to how you build your content, how you cluster your content, what you write about, how you connect it to your domain, the schema that you build to reinforce this is what my brand is an authority in. And I think it's also like Google making all of those connections for the user. I think it's super, super important.
Yeah.
It's just when you want to be an authority in a lot of things, it's more tricky.
Yeah, I think it can be interesting. I think it's also interesting that it also shows up for particular articles. So for instance, if an article has been ranking for a while, it'll say this page was first indexed at this time, and this is what we know about this page, and this is what we know about this source as well. So it can be really great for helping to validate the sort of quality of both your brand positioning and your entity positioning, but also a particular piece of content. Things I love that you're like using it as proof. That's one of my favorite things when people are like, oh, we're doing this. It's like, yeah, but look what Google says. Like, look what it says on the SERP, because it says something different. So yeah, that's fantastic. I think I found it a really fascinating feature. I think the first time I saw it was on Better Homes and Gardens, and then I was like, I love this. We need more of this. And so yeah, I think we all agree that it's something that goes along with Google's like general sort of EEAT evolution and all of that in the SERP, which I think is even more important in the age of AI. Have you all responded much to the experience thing? Have you added more experience as well to your strategies, as well as the expertise, authority, and trust?
Yeah, we just try to make our clients the authors of everything we publish on the site and just leverage their name. Like whatever hair transplant clinic in Turkey, so if the doctor writes it, we write it, but put it under the doctor and we try to get it in all the content as best as we can. But other than that, there's not much you can really do and say, like, I've got 10 years of experience and every year update 11, 12, 13.
I think the E in experience is not exactly going in that direction. The way that I see it, when you talk to a subject matter expert and they're excited about it and they get passionate, and you're probably going to have this experience here at Brighton SEO if you like approach anyone. They speak about their subject of expertise in a very specific way,
Right.
with excitement, with love, and with anecdotes. They're so excited to share their silly little anecdotes with you. So I have shifted to not only talking about best practice, but the specific anecdotes that my subject matter experts have. That's something that I cannot really get anywhere else, and it's really hard to insert afterwards. It feels a little bit unnatural. So what I've been doing is I interview my subject matter experts, and I've briefed my ghostwriter to not eliminate anecdotes, to actually highlight them and use storytelling of their personal experience. And yeah, I've incorporated it. I love it. I think it makes for better content, more human content.
I think for us also, it's like a double, like it's a positive on several fronts, because for us the experience, like this use of a product, like we are a product-led company, so it's like I'm making that double connection of like this isn't a user that has used our product for this, kind of intent.
Yeah.
And then also like so then to then take them on the next, like down the funnel, and like it's really, you have to think of product more.
Yes. I think you're also starting to see things like the bubble that's like for examples on Google. So like people will say like, I don't know, cat umbrellas. And they're like, oh, like what examples of cat umbrellas? Like people want to see the pictures of the cat. I've literally just invented that product. I don't know if the cats need umbrellas, but there we go. Anyway, okay, so now predictive text. Okay, so what do we think we have here? If you type in SEO, the first thing you get is SEO. SEO is
Love this
dead.
second one. Look at the second one.
What do you?
Don't look at the second one.
No, don't look at the second one. Don't look ahead.
I'm so sorry, I'm very
Don't
new
look
to this.
ahead. Agree or disagree?
No.
Disagree.
It's not.
Disagree.
Okay, so this is something. So the interesting thing I found out about this was that the total number of entries for SEO is dead was 105 million.
Wow.
That's how many search results there are for SEO is dead. So a lot of people who are like, checking the pulse on SEO all the time. And I think we can all agree that SEO is not dead. Okay, so next one. SEO is ruining the internet.
Yeah.
Are we
I agree.
ruining the internet?
Literally.
I agree.
What?
Yeah.
I do agree with this
Yeah.
one.
What? Why do you
I
agree?
would qualify it. I would. Bad SEO.
Are you saying it depends? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying about this?
Depends.
I think the flood of shit content. Oh, I didn't want to say shit. Sorry.
You now said it 3
I
times.
was doing so well. I think the flood of bad content to the internet, it's definitely our fault. And the fact that myths that were old about you need this many characters to rank, you need this many words, have separated us from what the user actually wants. We have low-key ruined the internet. Now when I look for, like, I want to buy a coffee maker, and how do I know that this person is not making money? to sell me the specific coffee maker. Like I
But
just
I
want
need
a
a coffee
reliable
maker. Who cares
opinion.
who makes money off the fact that I need a coffee maker? Like,
Yeah,
if
but
the
you
coffee
wanna-
maker works for me, I don't know. For me, like, see, and maybe it's an age thing, so but like, for me, what I find more valuable, if I'm looking for a coffee maker, even though I know maybe somebody's being paid to recommend that coffee maker, you're giving me a list, you're giving me a choice, and I can do my own research. Like somebody on the internet recommending, like, you know how many reviews of those you would need to read, and somebody likes this one, and somebody likes that
Yeah,
one, and somebody likes
exactly.
this one, and there are a million coffee makers. Give me 10,
Yeah.
or like give me 10 in this price budget, or give me like 10 unique coffee makers and 10 classy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, this is a case of done is better than perfect, and I am like, my coffee maker needs to be perfect.
Like we live, okay, not coffee makers, but like we live in a world of so much choice, and again, like so much information on the internet. Like for me, I actually appreciate that, like, I don't know, that is so straightforward. Here are 10 coffee makers. Go and choose one.
But I agree. I think SEO is definitely ruining the internet.
No!
But it's Google's fault. Because like, if you ask Google, like, what is the best coffee machine, you have to read coffee machines were created by this guy, and then you don't care about that. But if you just say, this is the best machine, you're never going to rank, you'll get no traffic, so you have to put all this waffle to build your relevancy
Yeah, I
up.
agree.
Right.
So they should have, instead of basing the algorithm on like links and content, it should be more brand signals earlier on, and that would then leverage the better brands and better results to the top, and you don't have to
the
keyword stuff.
expertise, the
Exactly.
Yeah.
Again, that's influenced by links though.
Yeah.
So
I think it has to do, you know, we have to work with what we've got. I think so. Gus was at dinner and he was wearing a shirt that said, bots are users too. And that's the thing, is like we have to talk to the bots, and the bots need certain things. So like you have to put in those things to do that. And yeah, you have to balance like what the bots need with what the humans need. And so it's just, we're doing our best. Is
But
what
I think
would say.
we've also we've become sort of gatekeepers of the quality of websites on a technical level. And SEOs have done a lot of advocacy for faster websites and more accessible websites. So even though we output bad content sometimes, we are making a more sensible web ecosystem, which, by the way, also helps the planet.
Exactly, this is good. So you'll be pleased to know that there are only 595,000 people that think that SEO is ruining
But maybe
the
it doesn't matter because SEO is dead. So.
Okay, so next up is SEO. Oh, SEO is a long-term strategy. Would you agree or disagree?
both.
A never-ending.
I'm in the middle. It can be short-term strategy as well.
It's the waterfall. The waterfall, when it starts running, it pours, right? And then it keeps pouring.
I say it's long-term as in it compounds, right? Like
Right.
more links,
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
more content. So
Yeah.
that's more long-term. But some clients, like we had clients come on board for like 1 month and just gone, but they got loads of results in that 1 month.
Yeah.
Like we had a client, one of the biggest clients in the UK, like called Humax Direct. They sell like freebie boxes.
Okay.
And they had links from like Independent, Telegraph, like every Argus, all these massive
Yeah.
companies, right? And they had no H1 tag, no title tag, nothing.
Right.
I just came and like, yeah, put that there, put that there. Boom, top
Right.
of H1, organic revenue through the roof.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, I think we're happy now.
Yeah.
Like, cool, short-term strategy, you're winning. See you
I agree.
next year. or
There's
whatever.
definitely been the case where you get a client and they're like, yeah, and you're like, there are easy wins here, and so you
Yes.
can
I love
definitely,
those.
yeah.
I love it.
They're so fun. They love you afterwards, and you're like, yeah, it
So
definitely
clever.
works
Like,
so
I
hard.
know.
I'm good. So yeah. So I think we say it depends. Is that an it depends? You know, like
No, it's both. It's both.
It's both.
Both.
It's both. Not
It
both.
compounds, but it can have short-term wins.
Impact.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. And we have 42 million people that agree that or that are writing content that says that SEO is a long-term strategy. So
That
that's
would be the SEO.
Last one, which you will be very pleased to know, has the most search results of coming in at 394 million search results. SEO is important. Agree, disagree? I can guess.
If you like money, yes.
I like my job. So.
Especially so, yeah. What do you think? Is SEO important? Yeah.
We agree. Everybody agrees.
And if we raise our standards, then we raise the standard of the internet, right? Maybe it's like that's our shared responsibility with Google to.
We make the world a better place. That's how we are the world.
Well, somebody said to me today, you don't do brain surgery. It's not the end of the world.
Yes.
Like, oh, great. That's fine.
I heard somebody who said
This is my email in an emergency. What emergency?
I heard somebody who was like, it's PR, not ER. And I was like, you know what? Facts. Like, honestly, it'll be okay. It's fine. We can optimize that page later. And stuff. But I certainly think that it can be a challenge sometimes pointing out, like advocating for SEO in a space where sometimes, like, I don't know, PPC is seen as a big win, or maybe the team doesn't quite understand SEO, or maybe they got burned by like like if
I
you,
hear that.
That
all,
is
all
so
the time.
common.
Yeah.
There's been such bad actors doing bad jobs that have like put people off SEO. We have a brand problem as an industry. People still think content creators or the content teams still are worried that you're going to make them write very long things that are not good for the user. Or, and I heard this in 2023, do I need to include any misspellings of the keyword? Do not.
Now, I hear those same questions. Like I do all the sales calls at the agency now, and it's like, I've been burnt in the past. I've worked with this guy. He told me this, and like half of my job on the sales calls is just convincing the person that, by the way, you search for a keyword, we rank, you booked a call with us, but it does work. By the way, like you've got here, like it does work, and I don't know. There's a lot of people that aren't even doing SEO properly as well. Like we actually worked with a client in Brighton. We met them yesterday before I was speaking, and like they've been working with a big agency in London. I'm not going to name, for like 4 or 5 months, and they built no backlinks whatsoever, and they haven't even implemented all the findings from the audit they've done. And it's just like, how do people get away with that? Like, and then when that client goes to a good agency, I'm not saying we are good, but there's other good agencies out there as well. It's like you're already at a disadvantage. You have to then convince the person that you are good at what you do and you are different.
I think trust is so important with clients and with working with projects and things, because if you don't have, I've seen like working agency side. I remember we walked in and we did an audit of a site, and I was like, oh, this is wrong, and that's wrong, and this is wrong, and that's wrong, and we were pitching for like we were prospecting for this client, and the guy who ran their website, who had been doing their SEO and dev stuff, or they'd be like, oh yeah, the dev's doing the SEO. He just sat there with his arms folded the whole time and was not bothered. And then after we finished our audit, like he kept the client. We didn't get the client, but they trusted him implicitly, like broken things, fixed things, whatever. They trusted him immensely, and I think that like if you don't have the trust of the client, then it's very difficult to convey that SEO is important, that SEO matters, to get the budget, sign off, and things like that. And so like you have to be like transparent.
It's hard to sell though. Like you say, hey, pay me $2,000 a month for 7 months. No guarantee, but you might rank number one. Like, it's difficult. So we actually only introduced recently offering PPC alongside SEO, like a blended search approach. And you get the instant results on the ads, and you get more of a long-term strategy with the SEO as well. It works really well, and it's so much easier to sell. Yeah, and I think also like that PPC layering can be really useful with testing things, and with also like shoring up different parts of the SEO. Like if there's like algo shenanigans, and you're like, but we need this content up here.
But the best is when they're like, well, we're going to drop this spend and let's see if organic like
picks
it over, and then you're like, you don't even need to think about it, and you're like, it will, and then it does. Wow, it's like the best. I'm sorry, it's like the best. No offense, people.
And then you can move like that budget to
100%. It's not like necessarily about cutting that budget on paid, right? It's like, let's move it to something else, like where it will have more ROI. Like.
Or experiment with like different PPC types of content to see if they're going to actually deliver customers. And if they do, you go and make it for organic.
Exactly. So you can create content on video, for instance, instead of like, let's say you were promoting blogs on PPC. You cut that PPC spend, you could spend that producing videos. Then you can add that to the et cetera, like all of the, and just make it all work and all of that sort of stuff. So
it's 3D chess.
Exactly. This is the thing. It's a lot of strands. So there should be one here that says SEO is complicated, and you should pay people to help you with it and things. So yes. Finishing up with that, this has been SERPs Up Live. If you like SERPs Up, we talk about this kind of thing with all like fantastic, wonderful people. Y'all have all contributed to our many things that we've done. So thank you very much for joining us in this beautiful, incredible room. And thank you so much to Lydia for being here and sharing her incredible insights. Thank you so much to Joshua for being here and sharing his incredible insights. And thank you so much to Rebecca for being here. Thank you all. Enjoy your lunch, and have a great Brighton SEO. Woo.